Good morning, good morning. I have to tell you that I've made this video once this morning and I was really disappointed because it somehow got corrupted before I could transfer it to my computer. So I made this little book and I'm going to show you how, and I'm hopefully going to do it quicker than last time. So here's how it starts. I started with a butter box. Took the butter out, put it in the fridge, and instead of throwing this away, I flattened it and cut off the tabs, and then I'm going to open it at the point where they glued it together. And you can see that by looking inside. There's a little flap right there. So if you just carefully lift it, you can get it open. And I've done, excuse me, I'm sorry, I have morning congestion. I've not had my second cup of coffee, so please bear with me. I will try not to clear my throat any more than I absolutely have to. Okay, so at least now I know the dimensions to make everything, and this is very close as it is. We want to cut off this flap because it has glue yuckies on it, and there's a couple glue yuckies on here too. So what we'll end up doing is making this 4 by 4.5, and all I gotta do is remember which one is supposed to be 4. But here's how we determine that. I'm going to use this piece of paper. It's just a piece of printer paper, and I'm folding it. I know you can't see, sorry. I'm folding it lengthwise. There we go. And I'm going to cut, I remember this part, I'm going to cut this at 3 3/4. And that is because this is going to be the size of the paper that goes in the book. And so that means the height needs to be just a little more than that, which would be 4. Okay, so now I remember. This will be 4. That's 4. And this will be 4.5. So we'll take that on the, this is my handy dandy cutting device that I love. I'll get it out of the way now. Okay. Excuse me, there's one. That's my cover. And this fits in here just right. I could fold it the other way so that you could see the color to help offset the white. So if you put the folded edge right at the folded edge of the cover, you can see there's just a little bit of room all the way around. That's how we want it. And what we're going to use are 3 sheets of printer paper. Let me grab a couple sheets here, because I already used up the ones from before. Alright, so here's 3 sheets. And this time I'm going to do it. See, last time I measured as I went, because I wasn't sure where I wanted it. So I'm folding all 3 sheets together in half lengthwise, because my handy dandy cutter can handle that. And now that I've said it, watch it prove me wrong. Alright, so I'm marking it at 4 inches. Here's 4 inches. Oh, sorry, that was wrong. That was the cover, 4 inches. This one needed to be, which way did I do that? It goes that way. This one needed to be 3 3/4. There we go. Good thing I cut it too big and not too small. Okay, there's 3 3/4. And then I'll do the second one at 3 3/4. And unfortunately, that does not leave us enough to do a third one. Now, had I been thinking ahead of time, not happening today, I would have made it so that we could cut that all evenly and use all of the paper. But I will use that in another project. It'll just be a smaller, because see, here's the one I did from this morning. and so I'll use these in a smaller book. Okay, so we now have 12 pages, and you might want to use a bone folder if you have one. I don't have one handy because it's at the studio and I'm not, so I just use any old thing that's nearby. Okay, so this now fits in here, but before we attach it, and I'll show you how we're going to do that, before we attach it, I want to decorate this. And I made this really pretty outside. Now this I used washi tape. You could paint it, you could collage on it, you could, if you have washi tape, you could do washi tape. I did it inside and out because I just love how it turned out. I love it so much, I'm going to do the exact same thing. And I just happen to have, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and a little skinny one in case I need it. So I have 5 different washi tapes that all have similar color patterns going on. And so just to make it quicker for you to watch, I'm going to do like maybe 1 or 2 pieces, and then I'm going to pause the video and do the rest off camera, because you don't need to watch me applying tape. Okay, the one thing I will say, because see how this kind of stays open? I can get that to stay closed pressing it in a book. But what you want to do is, as you're applying this tape, kind of bend at the spine and rub it so that it kind of gets used to doing that. Okay? Alright, so I'm gonna also let you know that I am overlapping this just slightly because I don't want any of the box to peek through. Now I don't mind that you can see barely some of the writing from underneath. That just adds interest, but I don't want this yellow peeking through. Okay, I'm going to pause the video and finish putting the tape on the outside and the inside. Okay, I'll be right back. One thing I do want to show you before I do the other side, when I put these pieces on the one side, I always go over the ends, and then on the first video I just trimmed them right at the edge. But I just had a thought. I'm going to go ahead, since I'm going to do the same thing to the inside, I'm going to go ahead and fold these over really snug on the edge, because that will give the edge a more soft, finished look and feel right there on that edge. If you were to look at this one in person, I trimmed it off. That's kind of a rough, raw edge. You don't really feel anything, but it would be nicer if it were soft and smooth like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on both sides, and now I'm going to finish up the inside, and I'll be right back. Okay, another thing I want to show you as I'm nearing the end of this is, after placing the washi tape, what I'm doing is I'm lifting this side and using my fingernail to crease down the middle. I need a little skinny one. Here it is. And I've also tried this time to somewhat match the tape with what was going on the other side. I do have an exception because I added this one that says Shine Bright, and I wanted to make sure to get that in, but it wasn't on the other side, so it kind of threw things off a little bit. I need one more piece, and I think it's going to be, can't be the blue, can't be that one. It could be that one. I don't know if that's, it's not really, well, it's kind of thick enough. I could do another happiness, but that would overshadow. I'm going to have to do this little skinny one, which means it's not going to fit exactly, but This will be the inside, so I'll just deal with it. And what's nice about washi tape is that it's repositionable. So if you don't get it in exactly the right spot the first try, you get to try again. Okay, so now I am going to trim these off because I've already folded the other ones in. Let go, please. It is very sticky. And that is just as quick as we can make a cover. Come on. There we go. I was trying not to cut the original stuff that I folded. Alrighty. So now we have our pages somewhere. Here they are. And we have our cover. And you might just need to press these down to make sure that you got them down. Okay, so there's, it could be the inside or the outside. You know, actually I kind of like it more for the outside. I did that on this one too because it has the shine bright or bright shine. Anyway, I'm just going to kind of reinforce this fold. Now the next step in this method is to punch 3 holes along the spine, and then I'm going to feed through this cord that I have. I'll just cut that piece off there. And what I did is, it's kind of a sewing method, so that I end up with 2 pieces on here and 2 in there. I punched 3 holes. I wanted to end up near the top so that I could thread some beads on this and hang some bling off of it. That's the goal. So I use an awl to punch the holes, but to keep the pages in place, I have these little binder clips. And these are little mini binder clips. I didn't even think that they were going to fit, but they just did. Just. So they hold it in place while you're punching the holes and while you're threading the cord through. This particular method doesn't require a needle, just something to punch the holes, and I tend to guesstimate the middle, and I straddle my fingers over the bend because this thing does not know the difference between paper, cardboard, and flesh. It will just go through whatever's there. So I push it down just until it starts to come out. And then I back out and come around the other side because I'll show you, and I'm straddling the spine again on the inside. Okay, and I'm just kind of twisting it back and forth until I get through the amount that I want. I don't want to go too far because I don't want this big of a hole. So that's just right. But see all of that paper that got pushed through? I'd rather that be on the inside than show on the outside. Okay, so now I'm just going to kind of guesstimate halfway between here, between the hole and the edge. There we go. And again, I'm just twisting it to get through to the amount I want. And I do have a pad on the table to catch this point so that it's not leaving hole marks in my table. All right, so that's the top. I want to end up at the top, so I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to go from the outside of the book to the inside. And I'm going to pull this through and go back into the middle and go back out the bottom. So I'm kind of like sewing. Now this is the hardest part. The middle hole has to accept another thread, and sometimes you'll have to, oh boy, it's being good to me today. Sometimes you'll have to push it through. I've used a paper clip. I did this the first time, good grief. I'm just going to take this clip off now. sometimes you can use a paper clip as kind of like a needle threader. Someday I'll show you that.
From your calendar, senior fitness at 5 points with Diana and Gary Farrar. Starts
Okay,
in 30 minutes.
so I am going to tie this kind of like a package, and I'm going to put my finger here to hold it.
Gary Farrar. Starts in 30 minutes.
And that's Alexa telling me that I need to leave for a fitness class. Thank you, Alexa. And there, I've got my
I missed something. Can you say it again?
cancel. She really is fun. Okay, so I'm going to trim this here until I get the beads that I want to put on here. And I don't know what I want to put on it yet. But I can take my clips off. And I can't tell how long that took. I think it says 16 minutes did this in. So you really can get a nice little book done in a short amount of time using stuff that you have at home. Printer paper, butter box. Who would believe that this was a butter box to begin with? I've done this with dog bone boxes, cracker boxes, all kinds of stuff. And so there is our second book. And I hope you make one. I hope you go and gather your butter box and your printer paper and have some fun. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I hope you hit subscribe down below and the little bell that will tell you when I have new videos out. It's been fun. See you later.